No cool intro music.
No.
Really got to work on that intro music then. Work on some of that funding. Fund the intro contest. You could design the intro music.
We have it. We have it in the audio version, just not in the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Remember?
That's cool. Yeah, sure. I believe you, man. I believe you. I was there.
Welcome to Bad Publicity Thursdays. We are going live right now with our L5R core set review of Crane. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
As always, I mean, it's only been one other time, but precedent has been set. As always, when we talk Crane, we bring in our Crane specialist. Mike is back. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Feel like we're extended family here now. So welcome and appreciate your input. How's things been, guys? How's the L5R adventures going so far?
Pretty good. A lot of people are just waiting when we can get enough core sets to do 3 core games on a regular basis without having to like mix together other people's box sets to build decks. Trying to avoid tabletop simulators as much as possible because it doesn't look very pleasant way to play the game. But yeah, it's getting hyped that October 5th through 7th, all those launch events, and hopefully your store is getting some stuff set up and you're getting some people together and you guys are going to have a good weekend in October cracking the game open.
I've been doing a bunch of single core, just trying to get people in to see if they like it, see if they want to jump in for these intro events that are coming up.
So just, quick, let's talk about single core for a second. What do you guys feel about those pre-made lists from Gen Con? Did you look them over? You think that's a good place for people to start? I mean, those are the official vetted, stamped ones, but...
Yeah, most of them are bad. I think if you were a Carl who played the pre-made Lion list, you would disagree that those decks were good, as he finished almost at the bottom during the Kiku Matsuri. But I had a lot of people who built them and did well and had fun with them, so they're not bad starting points.
I mean, they are what they are.
Yeah. Just know that single core is wild card. Like anything could happen in single core.
You can flip up 3 holdings in second turn and be like, "Oh, good, I didn't get to actually play this game."
Yeah, or not see a single member of your actual clan until like turn 3. You just see like neutrals, and you're like, "Cool." And you'd have no idea what clan I was playing. My stronghold didn't tell you.
Yeah, it was interesting, and I really feel like I played a game, because I mean it was no walk in the park. That was a grind. 2 days, 12 hours each day almost of 5 rings. That was a punch to the face. Then I feel like I've been played this game for so long, and now I came home, opened 3 cores, and it's like I got this expansion, and it changed the whole game because the feel is totally different, right? Like to the point where you weren't seeing everything, and now I'm like, my first game, I like, you flop like 2 champions, and you're like, oh yeah, this just happened, right? So you're really experiencing now, and now I'm seeing how the mechanics of the factions are a lot more flushed out and presented, and the combos that can be pulled off are actually being pulled off as designed, not like half wonkily because of like, oh, I've actually just got those 2 one-ofs now in my hand that I can do this. So it's very, very interesting to say the least. I'm very pleasantly surprised to see it over a 1 core experience. again, I know there's going to be comments and there's going to be haters and there's going to be people that this is the very first Fantasy Flight game that they've picked up. So the whole discussion of why can't they just sell it as a complete set? Why do I have to buy 3 cores kind of thing is going to be all over. But I really feel that almost 3 cores is officially mandatory to play full L5R competitively. I felt like you could really squeak by in Netrunner with 2 cores. At the start, you were able to fill in some of those gaps, or if you were maybe you could borrow a card off somebody, a buddy, and you can get that 3rd Sansan if that's what you were playing. But I'm really telling you that there is no way that you can do this with less than 3. I firmly believe that.
I mean, you're right that it really makes the factions kind of stand out. You start to see their identities when you're able to play with a full complement of, characters and conflict cards and everything. And it's hard to see that in single core, because single core, it's said anything can happen. You just don't know.
It's funny. I think there are trade-offs for single core versus 3 core, and I was kind of surprised by that, because I think definitely the downside to it is just that it is so random compared to 3 core. Like, you can just it's so easy to have a bad flip that loses you the game that, you're much less likely to have in 3 core. At the same point, your opponent only being able to have essentially 1 copy of any given card makes it a lot easier to play around things. You have to kind of assume in 40 cards, it's 30 cards instead of 40 cards. They can only have so many things in there anyways. So it felt a lot like limited play in other, like in Magic or whatever, where you've played them around, or you just know what archetype they've built, so you kind of know probably what they have. But once you see that card's gone away, you're like, okay, well, I don't have to deal with that anymore, and you can kind of play around it. And okay, well, I've got my 1 assassination. I need to make sure I stick this thing, because I won't see another one. But like, I kind of wish I could keep some of that, but just the random I lose on a flip being so much higher in single core is probably not worth the trade-off. But hey, it bodes well if they decide to do like a draft pack type thing for this game.
That's true. It's true.
Not that draft packs have actually done particularly well for any of their other games, but still, if they can figure that out.
Just make them all alt art cards. I don't know why that's so hard. Just alt arts. Cool. Well, hey, are we ready to dive in?
Let's do this. Let's get political with the crane.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun.
That's right. It's a very political episode, guys. So if this offends you in any way, just let us know.
For real president.
Yeah.
I just watched the South Park, so that's why I had to throw that in there.
So I guess what we're gonna do is we're just gonna give a brief rundown of just a lot of the core set crane cards. Kind of give some initial impressions, ideas about the card, ways you may use the card, and I guess some ideas on how we feel it'll stand up. Will it make the test of time and be a tried and true crane card that you will use, many cycles down the road, or whether it's just barely hanging on, or it's a card you should probably replace with Good Omens. But yeah, so I guess we're gonna start at the top. So let's.
So before we cut in, I just want to say that if you're joining us for the first time on Bad Publicity, welcome. As we get into Thursday nights here, will be our regular L5R night. So please join back. The time kind of fluctuates as people get off on their schedules, but we usually try and sometime 10:30ish to 11. If you subscribe, you'll get the notifications when we go live. So that is all the more reason why you should help us out and subscribe. We have actually got included in this new YouTube launch, so you're able to sponsor us now if you want to help out and donate to the show. If you're watching it on YouTube Gaming, you can be able to click down below and just help us out for the month with a sponsorship. So that is always appreciative. And at Bad Publicity, we really try to keep things as interactive as possible. We are actively monitoring our live chat. If you join us live, I know obviously the audio version that we will release later will not be able to do this, but if you do have questions, as I said, Mike is the crane expert. He has pledged allegiance. He's got the crane pin somewhere tucked away in a case somewhere. He ain't straying from crane. So this is your time to ask him questions if you are interested in joining him in this crane democracy. So please, we'll try and we may not get to your question right away because I don't want to break the thoughts and the flow, but if you do, throw it in there. I can jot them down. We will try and get as much answered as possible. Mike has experience obviously with crane. I've been playing crane all week. Corey likes to say that he beats crane decks, but he does have.
Hey man. Crane won the 2 major events so far, so they're doing something right.
They're doing something right.
So and it's always like the lone crane player. There's just one guy who stands and fights his way up to the top. So good on them.
And somebody quick in chat, we do have our good buddy Ben, who's going by Peach Hack there. He is a great source for this game too. So if we don't get to your question, Ben usually has a great answer to it as he is active in chat. He is our unicorn expert, so look for him. Export.
He's also, hold on, Hatamoto of the Unicorn Clan. So he knows a thing or two.
Yeah, so when we get to unicorn, make sure you tune in because we will honor him.
All right.
So he gets to lead the Oots Bonsai in the live chat, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's a lot calmer in the live chat.
Yeah.
So it's much more subdued. Cool. All right, we ready?
Yeah.
Ready
So should we give some play style things? Like Mike, do you want to talk about that? How that kind of sits right now first before we break into it? Like why should somebody other than like you're gonna tell us they're the best and whatnots, or you've probably played crane since it started, but what play style, if somebody is this kind of person, should they play crane? What's the best pickup?
Play crane
right. ...
Your favorite color is blue.
I was literally going to say that. If you like being able to manipulate things, to control things, that's definitely something that the crane excel at. If you like doing it more like more in the open, just kind of like, hey, look, I'm coming at you, deal with me. That's more of the crane. Forcing your opponent into bad choices and then stopping the choices that are really bad that you don't want to have happen. That's kind of where they are right now. Honestly, all of the clans, they do have similar, but they have their own different feel and effects and ways you can do them, but they're also not terribly different like they were like in the old L5R. So, you can't. I don't think there is such a thing as a passive deck in this game. So you definitely are going to be attacking one way or another. I just think you're either going more for like a military type of attack, or political, obviously in this case. But you're either going for like a balanced or political heavy attack, or you're going for I'm going to attack, but I'm also going to assault your honor. So dishonor will be my alternate win condition if things start to stall out.
Mm-hmm.
From honestly just playing these this deck and crane for the last little while here, jamming games in, that has been one thing that I can't wrap my head around is when I come from the netrunner side of things, where it's bluffs and traps and the sleight of hand, like, hey, what am I doing? I'm doing something here, I'm advancing something, but I don't want you to see what I'm really doing over in this server and that kind of stuff. The crane playstyle has been so crazy because, like you said, it's been like I'm just going to have these guys on the table and, hey, feel free to read the cards because this is what they do and I got no tricks and I'm just going to do my thing and try and stop me. So to have that play style so openly like that has been it's been enjoyable, but it's just been very strange. It's been unique to me. And again, this is something you're probably going to hear me on repeat over and over about how unique each one of these factions actually plays. They've done a great job of it. And Crane is just a very interesting play, as we will get into. But not much tricks, obviously, unless you're pulling in some sneaky Scorpion, mumbo jumbo. But other than that, they're,
To me, they feel a lot like a cross between Scorpion and Crab, because there's a lot of that crabbiness. I'm just going to deal with whatever you throw at me, and there's also the Scorpion. Well, you're not going to know everything I'm going to do. It's not quite as underhanded. It's not quite as manipulative, but it's still there. And obviously, you can lean on either of those with the splash, whichever clans you're choosing to splash.
It does a good job to capture like the honorable feel of the Crane by, again, them having the information kind of put out in front of you. They're not hiding as much stuff, or they'll do effects where they'll just kind of be like, oh yeah, this is what I'm giving you, and this is what I'm taking, and stuff like that. So
yeah, they're like the honorable politicians. You're like, okay, I'm going along with these things. I know what's going on, and then all of a sudden, at the critical moment, they backstab you. Right. Instead of you just expecting it the whole time.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
All right, so now that's over, let's get into it, man.
So we'll start with the Stronghold. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So and first I'm going to start. If I butcher some of these pronunciations, apologies, but I'm going to try my best.
And that is exactly why I am not reading it.
Yeah.
Anybody who's seen me do the Netrunner ones for the Jintekis, the very first time my impressions, when we do our impression videos and I have to read those names, I'm done with those comments.
Yeah. So we've got Shizuka Toshi, something like that. So the Stronghold, it is a city, for whatever that matters. It is 11 honor, 7 fate, 10 influence, pretty standard, and it's a +2 province strength, and it has an action. During a political conflict, bow this stronghold, choose a participating character with political skill 2 or lower, bow that character. So first I'm going to throw in that bow effects in this game are really strong.
Yep.
I would argue and say that they are more impactful than send home effects.
Because none of the send home effects bow.
Correct. And so it allows your opponent to reintroduce them as a defender later, or put them in a new conflict, or have ways to bring them right back in. Bow, there's less ways, I believe, to unbow somebody, but they're still stuck in that conflict. They're just not contributing anything. And it's pretty strong. It's pretty strong just to have a bow effect built into your Stronghold.
Yeah, and I think both of the unbows are both clan aligned, right? Because you've got the Unicorn, I Am Ready, where you also need a fate to straighten, and you've got the Lion Clan, which is 0 cost. I just straighten as a reaction. Right,
but it has to be played as a reaction, so they have to be ready whenever you're doing
right.
It to trigger.
And you're using a card ability for a card out of their hand. So, yep. Sometimes it doesn't matter, but card advantage is always good.
Very true. Very true. So, initial reactions. If you were to rate this somewhere compared to other clan strongholds, would you put this in like the upper tier? This is about average, or this feels weak compared to the other clan strongholds?
I can give my impressions first. I mean, there's a couple things that I like about it. Did you get into the stat stuff? No,
I did.
So, starting with the 11 honor is cool because not everyone starts with honor that high. So, I mean, you already got a little boost there. Everyone so far starts with 7 fate every round, and everyone has the 10 bamboo influence power. And for
10 bamboo.
10 bamboos. Everything's pretty much +2 on the strongholds, right? For is there? I believe everyone is. That's pretty standard, isn't it?
The strength +2.
Yeah.
The unicorn are +0, scorpion are +1, and crab is +3. Okay, everybody else is +2. So there's 4 +2, so over half.
Yeah. So +2 seems to be standard on the on the strength bonus. So when you're looking at stat wise, this is probably one of the better stat wise cards or strongholds in the game. The ability, though, I'm really having a hard time saying how strong it is, because when you pull it off, it can definitely swing in your favor. But I'm feeling that if you're not good like with the timing of when you trigger this, someone's just going to throw one of them fans out there, and then all of a sudden, they're not 2 anymore, and then you're like, oh, God damn it. So I mean, this game's all about timing. So I can't really say that this is the best one. It's definitely not the worst one. I would say it's just pretty much on par. Like this is mid of the road to me, because like I said, when it works, it works, and that's a powerful effect. Nobody's just gonna be like, I'm gonna throw this little scrub guy in there to defend, so I'm not unopposing it, and then you're just like, yeah, well, boom, bow him, get him the hell home, or get him the hell out of here, and then you're gonna steamroll it anyway. But those times, like, there's so many just attachments that just buff up, or ways that political is going to buff up higher, and you're not going to be able to pull this off. Like you're going to be able to trigger some of the other strongholds every time. Yeah,
to me, I would say it's solidly middle, which probably means it's pretty well designed. I think if it was just during any conflict, it would be amazing, because you don't really want to throw a fan on your guy when you're in the middle of a military conflict. Obviously, that feels like a pretty big waste. So yeah, honestly, I think the 2 best times that the stronghold really shines is when someone is trying to attack you on a political, just like they have a spare guy they didn't really have anything to do with, and they just try and throw him at you. A lot of those, especially even in 3-core, a lot of times you just end up with a lot of really low impact dudes. So just being able to, on defense, they either have to slap it on them before they send them in which case they're kind of ripe for assassination, or they have to go in and then, I mean, it almost stops them from going in at all, right? Because if they send their 2 at you politically, you're just going to bow them with your first action. And, like, they have to spend cards to actually do anything at that point.
Mm-hmm. If you're playing Crane, great tip, Mike. Make sure you're looking at this as a first action. Make sure that you're going to trigger that stronghold quick. Don't forget about your stronghold powers. I've seen that mistake so many times. I've committed that mistake so many times. This game is all about the right timing to do an action. So make sure, first thing, look, are they coming at you with some, Johnny Scrub? Tap your stronghold and get him out of there first thing. Yeah,
I mean, it's one of the ways I think they most nailed the new version of L5R to make it feel like the old version of L5R is they're both extremely tempo based, and you really have to understand tempo to be able to do really well with the game, both in like a meta state, board state tempo, and also in a battle tempo. I think. Oh, sorry. So when someone's trying to throw a scrub at you, it kind of stops it or makes them spend a lot more trying to throw that scrub at you. The other good place is where you're doing your last all-in ditch, your last all-in on your stronghold typically, because a lot of times it'll be like, I'm sending all my dudes, you're sending all your dudes. Well, if they got the courtier out, or the 1-cost Imperial courtier, that guy's just not in the battle anymore, just for free, right? I don't have to do anything. and it helps you stall a little bit for time because that's an impactful action, but it's probably not going to lose you tempo for other things you want to do. It makes them have to do 2 actions or pass.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's basically all I have to say about that one. Like you guys said, like solid mid.
Yeah. All right. So you ready to keep on rolling?
Yep.
So that covers the strongholds. Now we're going to jump on to the Crane specific province. And this is the Art of Peace. So this is a 4 province strength. And it is air, correct? It's air
yes.
for its element, for its ring type. It has an interrupt ability. When this province is broken, dishonor each attacking character and honor each defending character. Thoughts, feelings,
Mike, you want to take this
gut
one
reactions?
I mean, I think it's a pretty easy include. Like, Manicure Garden is pretty good. What's the other one? Fertile Fields is also pretty good, to the point where I could actually, not obviously in official play, but I could see taking Seeker of Air so that you get to run both. I would say, like, the 4 strength is good. I think the effect is good for the most part. The one downside to this is there's sometimes where you just kind of want the province to be broken, but you kind of want your guys to be honored because you just always want your guys to be honored. But you don't necessarily want to throw them into battle just to defend to get honored, even when you know nothing's going to happen from it. But even just getting to dishonor their guys for free, if they have any kind of fate on them, is amazing. It obviously also sets up things like your sacrifice card.
Noble Sacrifice.
Noble Sacrifice. We're almost there.
Yeah.
So overall, I definitely think, for the most part, it's probably worth. I think it's better than the other 2, because you have to figure that. I mean, I would say you look at these as like, okay, this is probably 1.5 times you'll get this, right? Because sometimes you'll get it 1, sometimes you'll get it 0, although sometimes you won't get it at all. And so it's either 1.5 fate or 1.5 cards. And I feel like dishonoring multiple people and honoring multiple people, it has a higher it has a higher cap value. You only, you can't throw it under your stronghold.
Right. But you're looking at like your swing, right? So, and also this can be very dependent on the clans you're playing against. But against certain factions with a very high glory, like getting hit with a bunch of dishonored people, if they just hit it, at a bad time, it can be a huge swing in game state. And it's something that they have to think about. And depending on how you build your deck to try to go honor or go dishonor, again, you're putting more of those status effects out on the table. And you don't have to do anything differently. Like, even worst case, you don't defend to try to get the honor. You're still going to dishonor people on their side of the table. And so it's still going to have an effect in some way. And that can drop down their stats going into a future game round if they're people with fate on them. Or set them up to lose a bunch of honor at the end of the turn for all those people going away with dishonor tokens.
Yeah, I think the closest relatable province would probably be the Endless Plains for Unicorn. Just because there's a little bit of a decision there as to what exactly you want to do for defense.
Mm-hmm.
Because, but at a 4, it's also perfectly defendable if you actually want to try to defend it. And then the upside is, if I'm defending with 2 people with fate and you're attacking with maybe 2 people with fate, I just had a big board swing, even if you take the province. Or you may just not want to take the province because you're like, well, I'm not going to attack this province right now. So you kind of get a free win for it. So
correct. And you're just bouncing, and that works in your favor too because it's stalling them out from advancing the game.
Yep.
New player tip: this is not what you put under your stronghold.
Right. Pro tip. You could try to trigger it.
You can. Hey, hey.
Your opponent will be really happy with you.
Going for that time. Hey, those time to win.
Oh yeah, sure. They're dishonored. Yeah. They're standing dishonorably in your city. Unfortunately for you.
You got me.
I will say that this card here, in my experience with it so far, when you are learning the game of Five Rings, there is a lot of mechanics that you have to understand, and it's really hard to put your finger and value on what weighs more than the other. Dishonoring and honoring is something that you might not think is a big deal at first, but once you, again, like those people that experience the one core set stuff, and this is where you're going to see, especially the deck that I've been playing, the combos that you can pull off with what's honored and dishonored, stuff like that. Mike said it, you're triggering your noble sacrifice here because you're able to get rid of one of your honored guys. But I think this is a great card. I really think that this is, obviously, it's an auto include. I think this is very strong compared to some of the other ones that we've seen out there. It being a strength 4 and having this ability, I thought was a little ridiculous when I look at what the others have. Like Dragon is discard cards down, and I know that can be powerful, but I haven't really seen somebody discard a huge mitt of cards from hitting it yet, and that's like what, a 3?
Yeah.
So this being a strength 4 is already really good, and then having this ability, if people, I mean, it's going to be for everything with this game and timing again, but if at the right time that they come in and they're pushing 3 characters on you, and you're dishonoring all 3 of those characters, that is ridiculous, right? If they're coming in for like a big push or a swing, or trying to like go all in on something or whatnot, like, I mean, obviously they have to move one. So if whether you dishonor their champion, whether you dishonor a couple of their little guys, and then not only that, but you are honoring whatever you put in. So at the beginning of the game, again, pro tip, you may not think it is a big deal because you get to look at your provinces once before they go down, right? Remember where this one is, and when they declare attackers on this province, push some guys in, because getting that honor from this is beautiful.
It's also interesting because of it having a good province string for a standalone with this effect. It's also going to be super awkward when you get your opponent in a position where they're like just one off from breaking it, and out of their cards they have, their only option is to try to move another person into the conflict in order to get that extra strength that they need.
Yep. Or play a person out of their hand.
Yeah, or play someone out of their hand, and you're just like, sure, man. Because it's a win-win. Either they concede it and they're like, whatever, I'm just not going to come back here. I'll let you save it. And again, that's tempo. This works great in your favor. Or they commit the extra effort to break it, and then you get to reap all the benefits of it happening.
This card is very Crane. This is like the epitome of what I was talking about.
Yeah. I'm losing, bro. you got me.
I really like it. It triggers. Yeah, I mean, like you said, obviously it triggers off when the province is broken, and if they don't break the province, well, cool. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's there. So I mean, the next time they go for it, it's not a reaction. Whenever this province gets broken, now they might, never go back to this province again because they don't want, like, once it's revealed. But I mean, that's only in.
But then they're taking the risk on what those other provinces are.
Yep.
And depending on what your setup is, again, that's a risky thing sometimes too. Like, because when you play the game, you'll dictate attacks on going to a place or taking the risk of like, okay, what could this be, and can I handle whatever the reaction effect may be, or what the effect of the province is. And sometimes you're just like, I'm going to go what I know what's going to happen, instead of taking that, rolling the dice and seeing if someone's going to completely wreck your plan.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think you come back at this with people without fate, right? So it's just not as impactful. They've done their part. But then you're losing 2 to 3 honor, which is not insignificant in the game. Like 2 or 3 honors, quite a bit. That could stop you from doing an assassination. It could put you in a dangerous row that a couple of bad air challenges, and all of a sudden, like, you're just done.
Yeah, you're gonna have a bad time. So it's a very impactful card, and it's one that I rate really high.
Yeah, I would as well.
Really strong card.
I think this is, you know, I don't know how people are going to go about deck buildings, but I think obviously you have to take the stronghold. You don't have a choice. You're going to try and build your provinces next. This will be the first one that you take and add to your list. This is the auto include for Crane right now, and I don't see this card going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to print. Would they print another, like the next Crane province to come out? Would it still be the same air? Do you think?
Is
that how they did it in the past?
Well, they did have provinces like this.
Yeah, it was just like regions and stuff like that. It's the closest they did.
So, sorry, if they put another one out that is based around honor and dishonor, which is a little bit weird that this is air, right? Because honor, dishonor is kind of fire, but I think it makes more sense for air because air is about political, you know, about gaining and losing honor. They might decide to do something focused on the Daidoji family, which is their military family, do more of a sneaky military type of deck, in which case I could see them putting out a province that was like fire or something, that looked more something, or water, looked more like Endless Plains, which is, you know, I'm going to slowly cede my provinces to you, but I'm going to make you bleed really heavily.
Yeah. But you don't feel that it's like all Crane ones are going to be air, so like you're only being able to choose to have one included unless you're role specific.
No, I mean, I think if I had to guess, if they make more, probably at least half to 75% will probably be air. Because if nothing else, they probably don't want you to put all of your Crane provinces out, right? Like, they probably want you to actually have to choose. They probably don't want all of your provinces to be blue or whatever. True.
But I will say, pro tip, again, you know, I should have like something to flash on the screen. Jameson pro beginner tip, womp, womp, womp. If you have any experience with Fantasy Flight in the past, you know how kind of OP they make their core set cards. So I'm pretty sure I would go on a dollars to donuts bet here to say that even if they did make another air card, another air province, this one's probably going to be the stronger one.
Yeah, it's a really good effect.
Yeah.
Or we're in a really good position if
they want them to try to outdo it.
No.
Like, they're fine.
Right.
They can, they're good.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, well, you guys just wait till next pack. No, you think this card's crazy. Cool. Are we ready to keep rolling?
Yeah, man.
So, thumbs up from all of us on that one.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I'm going 2 thumbs up.
There you go.
Just because I got an extra one here.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's great. It's great. Great looking thumb. All right. So I'm going to go and jump over to the holding before we dive into some of the personalities. So the holding of the Crane clan is the Artisan Academy, and this is a +1 strength to the province that it's located in. Shock, it's an academy. Keywords that, you know, we'll get there one day.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So it has an action ability. During the conflict phase, reveal the top card of your conflict deck. Until the end of the phase, you may play that card as if it were in your hand. Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
It's free card draw.
Yeah. You just have it out. So it does buff your province strength, which is, it's neat. Okay. You're playing Crane. So cool. +1. But that effect is cool. And again, it goes into the idea of, hey, here's this card I have access to. I'm letting you see it, so you know it's there. But I don't care because it's technically in my hand. So
yeah, in this
you don't have to plan around this.
This plays into the exact style that I was talking about at the beginning, where I just can't wrap my head around it. Right? Because say like, so that's why I'm not saying, like, to me this is middle ground. This and maybe, you know, maybe I'm wrong, and I love a discussion, so comment below and tell me why if you're watching this later, or flame me in the chats. But I can't I can't get over the fact that like if I can't bring that card in, that now I've just shown you, hey, this is my next card, and now I have this card in my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a double. You really have to figure out when you want to use this, right? Because it's just any kind of action. It's just a plain action, so it has to be during the conflict phase. But you could go into battle and then flip it up, and then you're both reacting to it, so you can use it as a stall. If they pass, you can flip that up and see what happens. Although probably you want to know what it is before you go in, but
it almost uses like intimidation. Because if you flip something like a bonsai or court games or something like that, and your opponent knows that, okay, now I have to plan around this card. Right. And you use it as a little bit of an intimidation factor. Like, I'm coming in. Look at this card right here.
Right. And you don't discard it, right? So it's not as bad as if it's like, oh, you have to play it this turn or you discard it. No, it's going to go in your hand. So if they see the assassination and it stops them from playing, putting someone into a conflict, you're going to get that assassination next turn, bare minimum, right? There's nothing that mills. So, okay, yeah, they know that you have an assassination. They may not get 2 for 1 or 3 for 1, but I mean, they probably either have to play around that card or they're boned because they can't play around it, if that makes sense.
I really feel that this card, and that's why I say it's middle. I just think that you're playing it right now because there's no better choices, and so I can't say that this card has longevity. But maybe that's just me not fully grasping the playstyle of like I said, like where everything's out in the open. You want to see my card? That's the next card that I'm going to play, and weirds me out. Weirds me out. I feel icky.
I get it. Well, but I do think there are 2 other things to look at. One is that the most obviously comparable holding is the Phoenix's Forgotten Library, which is just straight up after the draw phase begins, draw a card. But it has +0 province strength. I don't think the 1 province strength is probably enough to say Artisan Academy is better than Forgotten Library, but I still think they're pretty compatible. They're pretty comparable. Also, one of the things to realize that it's kind of hard to get your mind around is that an honor denial or a dishonor strategy or a side strategy is also a card denial strategy. So, like, when you're playing the game, your first impact, if it's like, okay, well, I'm going to try and dishonor you out, your first idea is, well, that means I'm going to want to take fire a lot. That means I'm going to want to take air a lot, maybe void, but, that's just general or whatever. So with honor, those are the most direct. But honestly, earth does a lot of work. Because earth means I'm taking a card out of your hand and I'm getting a card. And now when we're going to honor bids, which is where the most honor takes exchanges every turn, I'm either keeping you down to 1 card or like I'm making it where you have to bid 1 because you can't bid like 3 or 4 because then you just basically lose. And then 1 turn I can do 5 and oh, hey, look, now I'm going to swing into your province with like 4 more card advantage over you. And Artisan Academy, much like Forgotten Library, but Artisan Academy helps enable that because it's another way of doing card draw. It's not as good card draw as Forgotten Library, but I think the sacrifice is worth it because that card advantage attack for honor is so key to doing the switch that you need to do with that type of deck. I think that really puts it solid. I'm not saying they couldn't print a card that would be easier. They could literally just give them a Forgotten Library, and I would probably run that over it.
But you do bring up an interesting point, because one of the neat things about this card is that card's not actually in your hand. So It does protect you from things like Ring of Earth or Spies at Court, which can pull cards out of your hand. So you still have access to this card. It's in a safe space. You don't have to worry about it being lost. So there is that to think about.
How's your card draw in Crab, Corey?
Slow.
Like, doesn't your holding draw you a card?
No, you don't play that holding in 3-core. But you do get like the Envoy, which draws cards, and then you have the Merchant, which gives you some nice.
I'm just comparing the holding.
Draw.
I'm not talking much.
Yeah. I don't play Funeral Pyre, but this is not the episode for me to discuss why I don't play Funeral Pyre. We'll get to that when we get to a crabisode.
No, we're just looking at the holdings across the board. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, an Imperial Storehouse, right? It's essentially the same effect, but you have to take an action and sacrifice it to draw a card.
Mm-hmm. Which means you don't get the benefit of the province strength because you're getting rid of the holding.
Right. Or, it flipped up in a place where it can't stay or whatever. And you only get to do it once. Whereas Artisan Academy, it's pretty easy to do this 2 or 3 times because I have.
Yeah. And if it lines up on your province that they decide not to break on your next turn, then it's fantastic. You're like, I guess.
If it flips up, if it flips up on your pilgrimage and they have to break a 6,
yeah.
Good luck.
Oh, yeah, that's great. It's so good. All right, guys. Yeah, so I think the feeling is most of us would rate it either average to slightly above average.
Yeah, I'm going middle of the road. I'm not taking it.
Okay. I kind of lean into the slightly above average category.
Slightly,
but that's also also because I don't have holdings that draw me cards. Good holdings that draw me cards.
I was gonna say you got
holdings, man. Good holdings, draw me cards. So I'm a little jealous. So that seems like a cool effect to have because it's not something I'm used to. Cool. Are you ready to dive into some of these characters?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. So I'm just gonna go down this list that old plug Card Game DB sorts for me.
Hey-o.
So see if you guys can catch me and find out what we're going to. So I'm going to start with the very exciting Asahina Artisan. So she's a 1 cost, 1 fate, a 0/0 with 2 glory. So Genja Air. And as an action, during a conflict, bow this character, choose another Crane character. That character gains +3 political until the end of the conflict. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing is initial thoughts, and should this card be played, or should this card be replaced as soon as possible?
It's a tricky card.
Right? Yeah.
So it's slightly better than you think it is, but not for the reason you think it is, and that's just because it's Glory 2.
Oh, I was going to say, I was going to chime in. I'm like, is it because the Glory 2? Because that's the thing that jumps out at me the most. And as I was talking about when we were referring to the Crane Province about honoring and stuff like that, the different flows, and if you underestimate the honor dishonor mechanic, you're missing a huge chunk in Crane. Talking with Mike, and Mike was able to help me behind the scenes stick my toe into the Crane pool, and the stuff that he's got here in his builds and stuff are really crazy. And if you can slip this out for 1, get this card honored, now it's a 2/2. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, it becomes a really good combo card potentially, right? Because you put it out for 1, don't put any glory on it, right? Because you've got a glory of the Crane. You honor it. You swing in for some. You swing in with fire battle. Win that battle. Dishonor one of their guys. Now you pay 1 and sacrifice, and your 1 cost guy just blew up their 4 cost guy and actually helped you swing on a province. It gets dishonored. It can still bow and give somebody else, a pretty good chunk of
plus
defense.
A +3 buff is nothing to sneeze at, as we say.
Right. Mm-hmm. And political power tends to not be as readily available as military power. On the whole, there's no bonsai for political, so it's just not as easy to get as much. So. Every buff that you can get in political, or just chunk of stat you can get in political, I think is slightly more valuable than military.
Yeah, I think that's a great way, to sum this card up. There is no super buff, for political challenges, and Crane is all about winning that political. So if you can slide this for 1 fate and then just use it for that buff, I mean, that's value right there.
Well, the other thing to think about too is because she has 2 glory, she can just be 2 glory standing for the favor.
Right. Also, really, you can't ignore the fact that she's a Shugenja. And that's a pretty important keyword because, oh god, what's the one that makes them forget?
Cloud the Mind.
Cloud the Mind. Mm-hmm. Cloud the Mind is probably...
It's a card.
Yeah.
You should be familiar with it. Yeah. It's pretty good.
So that alone probably gets her a 3 include, I would guess.
As of now, yeah. There's nothing that I want 3 of this in the deck. That being said, right now it's still only 1 thumb up for me right now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like these cheap...
It's not irreplaceable.
Yes, right. I feel like as the card pool grows, you're going to look at these cheaper guys that are probably going to be your flex spots, right? So you can you can do without her, but she's definitely going to add value.
Yep.
Cool. So approved, cast approved.
Yeah.
Currently. All right, so we're going to keep on rolling. We're going to move on to the Asahina Storyteller. God, I love the artwork on this card.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, so it's 4 cost, 2 military, 4 political, 2 glory, a courtier, Sugenja of air, has sincerity, so when they leave play, you draw a card, and each honored crane character you control gains sincerity.
Auto 3 include? Like, the big chunk of stats, it gives you sincerity, it gives other things sincerity, it's got a glory of 2. Like, I don't know what more, it's a Shugenja and a courtier. Like, I don't know what more you could really ask out of a character other than, like, shooting laser beams out of its eyes.
I mean,
yes.
And it's got great artwork. So, yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it with the description. It does everything you want. Like, yes, it does have a high price tag. But it gives you cards back if you get other honor. Also, if you're able to honor him, though, you're 4 military, 6 political for that 4 cost you paid, who's then going to give you a card back and gain you an honor.
So I will walk the other side of this coin.
Good. Go for it. What you're saying is you don't think the artwork's amazing?
No. This guy... This is the guy that I struggle with when I flip him on provinces, because he's when he hits and when he's drawing me cards, like if this guy can pull me 3 to 4 cards, I mean, like, okay, game on. But I struggle with his 4 cost, and then so it's 4 cost to get him in, and then the risk that I need to I feel like I need to get value out of him for that 4, and sometimes he's not going to give me that value, and I really have to, even if I play the 4 cost, he's got 2 glory, which is great, but I feel like I need to take advantage of that and honor this guy so that he can kind of get that boost where he needs to be for me paying 4. Like, this is 4, and the champion, your champions are 5. So this guy, like, he better be like, coming in and telling the world's best effing story, man, for 4 fate. Let me tell you that.
Look at him. He's got a dragon leaping off the page. I mean, that's pretty cool. But I mean, but he has sincerity, so you don't necessarily need him to stick around. Right. And there could be a chance too that if you have a couple honored people and you pop him out, all of a sudden your opponent's like, at the end of I'm okay now, but at the end of this turn, you're going to get a big card advantage swing because you may draw like 2 or 3 cards off of him going away.
And that's the risk for reward.
Right. I mean, I think the timing is really important on when you bring him out, because I definitely agree that there's going to be situations like where he's not the ideal candidate to come out.
Well,
but
I think he's a little bit tricky in that he is both as good as you think he is, but also something of a trap.
Yeah.
Because I think he's always going to get his glory. I think he's always going to get his value. If he's just a 4 cost 2/4, and he just swings in for a political and he draws you a card when he leaves, I think that's probably value, especially once again with the honor attack wanting to get card advantage. Card advantage being that way that you keep whittling them down. If you actually get him honored, he actually can swing in military, and people forget Like, people don't really stop to remember, oh, that guy's got a foreign military and can take a province by himself if I don't oppose him. Like, he's going to take most provinces by himself.
And then he's going to write a story and tell everyone about it.
It's going to be great.
Remember that time that Crane soloed your province?
Yeah. I think he also, just with an eye to the future, this guy really likes chuds. He likes low-cost, like 1 to 2 cost Crane guys that you can get honored with, like the Brash Samurai and with the, what's your face? The one that...
The artisan.
The savvy politician.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
The savvy politician getting multiple guys. If you can get the timing right on Storyteller, it just gives you such a huge card advantage. Now, admittedly, that can be kind of tricky, and the reason I say it's a trap is that maybe you try and play around playing him to try and get maximum value. I think he just has a good value as he is. He's just coming in, is doing exactly that, not getting honored, not letting you draw more than one card. I think he's generally going to be worth it. I don't know if you put Fate on him if you don't think you can set that up, but I think he's generally going to be worth it. The upside on him is just very high. If you actually can get a bunch of chuds honored, and they either leave before him or leave at the same time as him, or you sacrifice them to kill one of their guys, then also replace the card you just played. I mean, I think he's quite good. I'm not irreplaceably good, but I think he's quite good.
All right.
And just the keywords.
So where are we rating him? I'm gonna give him 1 thumbs up.
Yeah. I can
1.5.
I can do 1.
1.5.
First pass.
We got a really interesting rating system. We started with thumbs and then shrugs and.
I think that's
make it.
I think that I think in the hands of somebody like, say, Mike, a skilled player who's going to be able to know how to run the deck, how to set up this card for combos and things like that, you know, in your hands, Mike, I would say probably you can boost the rating on this. I think it's going to take somebody a lot of repetitions with their deck to learn how to utilize this card properly, and the timing to bring him out and to get that value. That's why I got to only say, you know, if when it hits, it's going to be good if you can turn it. But I think it's the consistency there that is going to give me the downside in the draw.
Gotcha. All right, so let's keep on moving. So next we've got Brash Samurai. Brash Samurai costs 2 fate. He's 2 military, 1 political, and 2 glory. He is a Bushi. And in action, while this character is your only participating character in a conflict, honor this character.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, It seems like just an easy guy that you can get honored.
I mean,
so that means that if he goes solo, he buffs up and he becomes a 4/3. For 2. And then, so you don't really need to put fate on him, because if he goes away, you gain an honor if he gets the honor trigger going off. So again, that's not bad. That seems all good.
With Voice of Honor and with Sacrifice, you really just want as many honored people as you can get. Obviously with a Storyteller as well. So just being able to do it by himself is great. The fact that he has a glory too is really good. Mm-hmm. His stats are probably more like a 1 cost, but I think the upside with the glory is probably worth it.
Yeah.
This guy here, I feel in the tempo of the game, he's frigging phenomenal early game. The way that he honors himself with that action is ridiculous. So, and coming out as a 2, so his stats, like, don't look at this card as a 2/1, right?
No,
you know, you're
just know that he's going to be hanging out, and then he's going to Leroy Jenkins himself against the opposing army.
Dude, honestly, that's how I'm feeling, man. This is a phenomenal 2 drop, coming in at then a 4, you know, for military once he gets honored. You know, 3 political if you're going to use. I feel like you probably want to swing this towards you know, your military challenge in Crane.
Yeah.
That's how I've been handling it, but I love to see this in my opening hand. this is phenomenal. You can't ask for anything better out of a 2-cost card. This is probably one that's going to stick around for a couple data packs. Data packs,
a
packs,
couple Dynasty packs,
whatever packs there are. Dynasty packs. Dynasty. Gonna be
cute. Edit that out. Dynasty packs.
Yeah. When do we get the other half of the cards? I only get Dynasty cards in my Dynasty pack.
Yeah.
Conflict packs.
Yeah, get the conflict pack. I just think it's such a good 2-drop. I don't think it's perfect because I've struggled when this guy has come out later in the game. But opening hand, I will try and mulligan to see one of these, or if I have them, I'm not putting it back.
You're okay.
Yeah, I'm more than okay.
I was. He could have been considerably worse because his action just says while he's the only participating character, I normally would expect this effect to require to be attacking, especially because his name is Brash. Like part of his name is Brash Samurai. But the fact that you can just defend with him and your first action can be, oh, I honor him. He's a 4-2 now, or a 4-3 now.
Yeah.
Okay, it's going to take some significant. That's like a significant speed bump. Or military is probably what you're going to go. Well, hey, I'm going to go test that province for 2, and I get an honored guy, and oh, hey, look, I can break it. Do you want to try and stop me?
Yeah, and all the easy ways to get an honored guy then turns on so many conflict cards for Crane. So it's exactly where you want to be. Yeah, I mean, this guy is like a 2 thumbs upper for me. I think he's awesome.
And that is, like look at the province's strength. You have a good, if they don't take this guy seriously, you're already almost, a very high percentile once he gets to 4 to matching most province strengths and being able to take a province if they don't.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 3 that he can't take, and 2 of them are Earth.
Yeah. So.
Seems good.
Bada bing, bada boom. Put him in there. As of right now, he's bread and butter, man.
Yeah, he's comfortable in those Crane decks.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll keep on moving. So next we've got the Cautious Scout. So we went from Brash Samurai to Cautious Scout.
Oh,
so you've got both sides of the coin.
We are on a roller coaster right here.
Yeah, I know, strapped in. 2 Fate, 2 Military, 0 Political, 1 Glory. Zabushi Scout. While this character is attacking alone, treat the defending province as if its printed text box were blank, except for traits.
Awesome effect there. It's probably so good that you want to read it twice. But goddamn, is it on the wrong card?
It is a really good effect because there are a lot of provinces that it will change your turn and you have to consider and think about before you go in and attack. Like, what if it's this? But to get the effect out of this guy, like, he's got to go by himself and test the waters. And then he can come back later and be like, all right, guys, everything's cool. Or, he's very weird to me because you have to have him early when flipping those provinces actually matters before you already hit so many that you kind of already know what's kind of going to be out there. And you have to pretty much know that you're going to dedicate him by himself to a conflict to be able to see if you can trigger the effect. And it's not guaranteed that every single thing you flip is even going to matter if you blank his text box.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I still think that's okay. I mean, I think there's nothing bad. Like, the best case scenario is what? It's the dragon holding province and the Night Raid, probably. Oh, and the one that flips types. Meditations on the Tao, right? No.
Yeah.
No, that's not it.
Isn't a bad option either.
Well, so here's the thing about Endless Plains. It's not it's an actual trigger, so they don't have to trigger it, although he's going to potentially pop it by himself, but...
Yeah, it's true. He's like, I got this. It's not so endless.
I don't know if there's a place in the game, like, okay, so limited choices since from the core set, so he's probably in your deck right now. Probably. But going forward, I don't know if spending a full conflict just for this guy to poke a province is beneficial to you right now in this time. I think it might be a waste of a turn. I mean, hey, if he checks it, I've had situations where you do the poke and you've been able to stop the reaction just by chance, just by a roll of the dice, and you're like, hey, yeah, good on me. I made that choice. But if you're sending him in by himself, I don't really think you are going a full push to break, and I don't know if it's worth that turn. I just think that is such a tempo hit for you just to poke it, to look at it right now.
Another thing just to think about is that you're probably not putting fate on this guy, right? So you're probably only getting to have him check it once.
Yeah.
And then he's going away at the end of the turn. Because he doesn't really have, he's a 2 military and 1 glory for 2 costs.
But, so to counter argument that just a little bit, military is probably the easiest pump in the game, right? Because you've got 2 0-cost cards that are very playable. Because you've got the katana and you've got the bonsai. Mm-hmm. So my two military guy going at your province. Okay, I get to see. It's whatever. It's probably a 4 strength province. Okay, it stops me from drawing a card. Okay, whoop to you. What do I care about that? Really? I mean, it'd be nice if I could draw the card, but whatever. But now, if you don't defend that, I'm going to get a ring. And there's also the chance that if you don't throw somebody in front of him, I can just drop a fan on him, or a katana on him, and now he does take the province. And he gets a ring effect. I think that's actually worth the 2. And because you're going to have a mass of people who have really strong political, he's just going to go off by himself anyways, because he probably wasn't going to go with anybody, right? He's a scout. And he can flip the province, and if nothing else, he just knows where all your political guys going in. Okay, so say you're in a situation where you have 2 provinces, right? You've broken 2 of their provinces. He has 2 left, but you have not flipped up their which one is it? Sorry. It's the something pilgrimage. What's the one that swaps the type?
Elemental Fury? Well, no. That's ready for...
No, that one's ring type. That's rings. The one that switches the conflict type.
Rally to the Cause?
Rally to the Cause, that's it.
Rally to the Cause. I've seen Rally to the Cause single-handedly win more games than anything else probably in this entire game, just because it's a neutral water, right? And it's strength 4. If you just pop that, and it can't flip, and now you can also possibly throw something on it, and now you're swinging at Stronghold, or you're making sure that whichever one you go at doesn't all of a sudden switch it from political to military, and all your guys are either worthless or having to go back home. Most of them probably don't have dashes, but still, I think that's pretty good. I think he's good early game, and I think he's good mid game. Obviously, he's nowhere near as good when you're swinging on. He's mostly nowhere near as good as when you're swinging on the Stronghold, but if they're running ancestral lands, sometimes doing it military is what you basically have to do. Sometimes the tempo is just not there for you to try to build up your political people to swing at their Stronghold. Sometimes you just have to do it military because you're not as good at it, but there is 5 less stats that you're having to try and throw at.
So, Mike, what you're telling me is that you don't want this guy in your opening hand and then spend all 7 so that you can check each of the provinces?
No, I generally would advise against that.
Okay.
Since most games don't even go but probably about 4 turns, that seems like it maybe. Yeah. And this guy can just get assassinated and you just shake your opponent's hand.
I want to see them all. Yeah. What are you hiding? I think as Jammer said in the comments, I think maybe down the road as we see some really, ridiculous provinces come through that you do not want to... do we still use the term face check in this game, Corey?
Sure, we can face check.
That you do not want to face check. I think the scout will come in handy. As of right now, I don't see that. I'm kind of like, meh.
Yeah, Yeah, I would still only put him at like a 1. Well, also he has a higher upside, right? If they get crazier province reveal effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that still seems like an outside case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So prepared to be.
I think like there's
Scout.
definitely better options. Yeah, I don't. But yeah, same way. I feel the same. I'm not too excited.
Okay, give me something to get excited about. What's next on the list?
Well, now we'll go down to a named character.
Ooh.
Daidoji Narishima.
I think it's Narishima.
Yeah. He is 2 fate, 3 military, 1 political, 1 glory. Bushi Scout. As an action, choose a face-down card in one of your provinces. Turn that card face up. So, not bad. You bring him out. And then your next turn, you just flip the card that replaces him. Or you save that ability, and then you set up a charge.
which may or not completely fall on his face.
You're right. That's right. But hey, it's not bad.
I think he's a one of. Like, it maybe in a more military deck he would make more sense. I think he has maybe a higher upside in the future and might actually get cut out of maybe a more political leaning deck, depending on what kind of personalities they give us.
Yeah, if they push the Daidoji family a lot more and they try to do like a really interesting like scout style deck that's really like bringing out a lot of smaller guys, pushing like a numbers type game, I think then he could play really strong into that. But I do agree that it seems like the way that Crane wants to play out of core set, I don't see him doing a lot for that play style.
No.
It's a good it's a good cost, like in Crane to get 3 military though, right? Like
that's true. That's true.
Yes. Well, and it's probably not. It's probably worth noting, just like the previous card, he does have the scout keyword, which doesn't do anything right now, but I would be willing to bet is going to do something in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Let me just touch on this again. So tip time.
Tips.
One of the mechanics again in this game that I have been thinking about as I play and trying to keep everything straight is trying to cycle the cards in your that come out through your provinces. So when you're doing that, it's a lot harder to cycle through the dynasty cards as it is your other side of the deck. So I don't know. I kind of like this, man. I mean, there's not many ways right now in this faction to once a card is turned up to try and sneak it in. So maybe down the road there could be something to do there. But when you're looking at a 2-cost card that in a faction that is not militarily strong, so to get 3 value out of it. To be able to flip the card in my province, that means at the end of my turn where I can look at it, do I need it? I can discard it out and then get another card in there. I kind of like it.
I mean, yeah, I don't think he's bad. I just don't think he's worth running more than one of. Because if you flip 2 of them up, right, you just got a dude that you can now put a fate on, like a 3/1. I mean, he's decently low-costed, and free fate's probably always good, but that could potentially be really bad. I think if he was non-unique, you could run him.
When you spend his action to put a fate on him, he can use his other action to flip the card from his old self who put a fate on. So.
But he has to choose between his province and his doppelganger's province.
Right. Which one's the better one?
Which one?
Right.
So I don't know. I don't.
So yeah, I'm kind of middle of the road. Like I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's amazing. And I think a lot of it. I think there will be decks that might be coming. I feel like there's a really nice like concept and stuff here that could really turn this character on and make him much better.
Yeah, so I mean like from this to this, I want to say it's like here. It's not. It's not here.
You're like part ways.
Yeah, it's. I'm looking at like a thumbs at 10 o'clock, like not fully A up. 10:30.
It's 11. What's that? It's like 45-degree thumb.
Yeah, right. So I mean, and that's just basically on future potential, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm telling you, man, I do like. Don't underestimate trying to cycle those dynasty cards to get the ones you want. Especially,
it's true. There's not a lot of cards in the game that do that right now.
Yeah,
and so that is a pretty impactful special ability.
And if they get a swarmy, scout deck, military deck, this is exactly the card you want, right? I'm gonna give you me, and I'm gonna get you somebody else, and then you're gonna play that lion card that you splash. It's gonna give us all a free feat move and take a province, right? Because we're all Bushis. Like, I think in that case, he's really good. Right now, he's just okay.
Yeah. All right, ready to keep moving?
Yeah, man.
Okay. So next, we're going to go to Doji Challenger. So this is 3 Fate, 3 Military, 3 Political, 2 Glory, Bushi Duelist. As an action, while this character is attacking, choose a character controlled by your opponent. Move that character to this conflict.
I want to know why this is a fictional character cannot marry me.
Yeah.
Like this is basically Clan Champ number 2 to me.
Yeah, it definitely messes up your opponent's plans a ton, because it's just like, I would rather use this character to do something on my turn or attack you, and then you're like, no, actually I want to pull that person into this conflict. And especially if it's a situation like they have a dishonored person and then Noble Sacrifice is on the table and they're trying to keep them away, and then she's just like, no, come over here, and then someone's just like, I'll sacrifice myself to kill you.
You don't have to do that for Noble Sacrifice. Noble Sacrifice doesn't care where anybody is.
Yeah, it's true. It's so good.
Yeah,
but
the one of the best things about her is that she is a balanced 3/3, right? So she can be doing a 3 political challenge, and that's good enough threat, and especially if you get her on her, she's a 5/5, like, great. Then she can pull in your, like, 2/0 idiot, right? Hey, come do a rap battle with me. Oh, look, you're real bad at this. Well, I guess you don't get to defend or attack this turn.
Could she technically also pull in a dash and then send them home bowed?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's also a really neat trigger too, because it could be a way just to bow someone on the opposing side and take them out of the conflict.
Or if you make them get cards out of their hand, right, so that they're going to win, then you pull in their guy so they extra win.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you got me.
Yeah, she's great. It's a really, really great character.
And then everything you guys said is perfect. Obviously, I'm leaning towards double thumbs up here. An amazing, but I'll tell you why on my side too is because 3 cost, 3 military, 3 political. You're looking at 2 glory. Like the action that you get from her, plus her keywords and stuff like that are cool. But man, 3 for 3 for 3, 2, ridiculous.
Yeah, great stat line.
It's so good. Like she could not have an ability and still be a very solid card.
Yeah. Yes. Especially how easy it is to get honored in Crane. Yeah. Again, tie back to the honor.
Great.
Well, and so historically, and obviously not everything's going to be 1-to-1, but this ability, which is called Harpoon, right, because you're bringing them in, Harpoon has always been one of the strongest effects in L5R. And I don't think that's going to change, so she's a really good stat line with one of the best abilities in the game.
Sorry, what was that? Like harpooning?
Harpoon is anytime you bring somebody into a battle. Anytime you bring your opponent's characters into a battle.
Mm-hmm. Shark,
because you pull them into, Scorpion.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Corey shudders when he hears harpooning.
I know. Watch it. Makes you scared.
Yeah. So
yeah,
boom.
Two thumbs up. That's
amazing. Put card. 3 of. This is the reason why you buy 3 cores. Boom.
Like, I don't think this character even gets replaced anytime soon.
No, she's solid. All right, we'll keep on rolling. So that was a good one. It was a good note.
Yeah.
Good. So now we're going to go over to the Doji Gift Giver. 2 Fate, 0 Military, 2 Political, 1 Glory, a courtier. Action. While this character is participating in a conflict, give your opponent one fate. That opponent must choose a ready participating character he or she controls, bow that character. Yeah.
Like,
That's
this just got toned down a little too much in every single aspect.
Yeah, it's kind of rough to like give fate to your opponent. Like, it's something you really don't want to do. Now, granted, you're getting to bow a card. That's great, but then the fact that your opponent gets to choose what it is. So if they have multiple people in the conflict, it's really hard to say, like, is what I'm going to get to bow worth giving a fate to my opponent?
I mean, so she's 2 cost for an O2, which is not that great with Glory 1. With her ability, it's not just, oh, hey, your opponent gains a fate. It's literally you have to give them a fate. It is 2 fate change, and they get to choose who bows. Like, if it had been like, I bow and then you have to choose somebody to bow, if she had only been 1 cost, because her ability already costs quite a bit, like, I think she gets... It's hard to... Because she's a courtier, and you need courtiers for some of your abilities. But, like, I think she gets replaced real fast as soon as you get somebody else with an ability. Mm-hmm. And I still think she's like a 1 or a 2 of. Because there are times when all they do is buy their clan champion, and you're just like, well... Okay, sure. The clan champion is totally worth buying off 3, 4, and then maybe I buy somebody else. Maybe I stockpile 3 or 4 fate for next turn.
Yeah, it's true.
I can tell you, there is many times in this game that I have looked at my fate pool and said, man, if I had 1 fate, this would be so ridiculously in my favor. This would be a different game.
Yep.
And then that being said, there's been so many times when I've looked over and seen my opponent has 1 fate, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, shit, I possibly in trouble here. I think that, you may not think it's a lot, but I just can't get past giving the fate over. It opens up so many plays. So many of like attachments, are obviously 0 to start, but there's so many cards that trigger off just the cost of 1 fate, and that can really open up your the floodgates, and you mm-hmm. You could feel it be the pristine time to do this. I'm going to bow this character, but now I've given them some currency, and now they can start playing cards from their hand.
I mean, you're not wrong. Her best case scenario is when they only have 1 character that they're playing with, right? And they have 0 glory.
Yep.
Or 0 fate. So you give them your fate to bow their character. Now they've got 1 fate to play with, which normally in every other situation is potentially devastating, especially since you've given away 1 fate. But at the same time, if all they have is a bowed character, I don't know that there's enough that they can do with 1 fate to take that conflict. If you're talking about offense.
Yeah. If they're playing Unicorn, they just play I'm Ready.
Well, but I'm Ready has to be off of the character.
Oh, that's true. It does have to be off of the character.
Right. If it's a 1-cost event, then I would say, oh, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. If they have I Am Ready, you probably lost the game. Or you just put yourself real behind. Like, I think her best case scenario is still not good enough. But I do think there are rare outside cases where she takes as a chance and wins you the game.
Yeah, rare. So, yeah,
right, very rare.
Yeah, well said on that choice of words. And again, like Corey pointed out, in card games, it's really hard to put a value on a card when it says the opponent. Your opponent is choosing like the effect where it's applied, because obviously, this is not Arkham Horror. They're not going to pick the worst possible scenario that makes it harder for them. They're gonna right. pick the most pristine condition, tap some outsider or bow some outsider that's not going to affect their play or their game if they have choices. If they don't have choices, then like Mike said, those rare cases, you're going to be able to position this to win, but no, it's not always going to be there.
Like even if she was just cost 1, I think she would be 10 times better, which is still like kind of like one thumb. It's not still not the best, but you know, she'd be a lot more playable.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty mediocre. So yeah, we ready to keep going?
Boom.
Oh yeah.
All right. So next, I'm just going down the list, and next on the list is your clan champion.
Oh.
Old Doji Hataru. So 5 fate, 3 military, 6 political, 3 glory, Bushi champion, reaction. After you claim a ring during a political conflict in which his character is participating, resolve that ring's effect.
Yeah. I mean, she's just a big pile of stats, and you just can't underestimate that, I don't think.
Correct. And, I mean, again, the other thing, too, is Crane's really good at honoring characters. And if you can get her honored, she goes to a 6/9, which is nothing to sneeze at.
No.
With a very bullying effect on offense. So, because there's a lot of times where you'll think in your head, I really don't want them to trigger this ring. Well, think how much harder you have to think when you're like, I really don't want them to trigger this ring twice. So it definitely makes you reconsider some of your plans.
Well, and even like just if you can get her honored, you have to like your 1 cost 2 strength guy no longer stops her in a military challenge, breaking the province in most cases.
Yeah,
you're not going to get 2 ring effects, but I mean, breaking a province is kind of the name of the game. So, like, I think she's good. And, like, I don't think she's the best champion. I think she's middle to middle bottom. I think she and Taturi are probably like 4 and 5 or 5 and 6.
That's
probably.
From the Lion, you're saying, like
yeah, because he's just a flip.
Yeah,
I think she stands above him because, like I said, I think political strength is more valuable than military strength just because of the abundance of it right now out of core.
Well said.
So I think that slightly puts her. I don't know, but it's also kind of balanced out the fact that he's a Bushi, which that deck cares about, and she's a Bushi, which this deck generally does not care.
So that's an interesting point because I'm looking at this card here, and from what we've seen, and from when I'm playing Crane, a lot of stuff triggers off the courtier, courtier effects, and I was really surprised that the champion did not get that subtype.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I don't need the champion to get it. Like in the past, they've almost always been duelist, or they've always been, the courtier. I'm okay with her not having it. I'm okay with her being a different. Like I think her just being this giant pile of stats is enough. Because 6 political, like I don't, other than the other clan champion, you just don't really see that anywhere.
Yeah.
And, up to a 9, like I think that's probably good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with everything. I agree with everything you were saying, though.
It's probably good enough.
Yeah, Mike. I think that she's not the top of the top when it comes to clan champions. Mm-hmm. She's not scraping the bottom. You know, like she's a good tick above half. Right.
Well, and your note that she's not a courtier, she's not a duelist, or any of those other keywords you might expect. That was actually probably the Crane clan people, the folks who already say that they're Crane. They were also kind of disappointed in that. So, like, that's not without absolute merit. But I think it's okay. I mean, of course, you want your big good guy to be the thing that you want them to be, but.
So just for the sake of having it on record for those people that you use Corey as your voice of reason for everything and your source of information. Corey, this card had a ruling put in place on it. Can you just describe that ruling, please?
Sure. So there was an interpretation that if you were defending with this champion and you won the conflict, that you could trigger the ability to allow you to fire the ring effect. That has been clarified since the ring wordings are use this ability if the attacker wins a conflict. So, yes, you can use the ability to get the ring effect to fire, but the ring effect will fire the way it's worded, where the attacker will trigger the effect and get to pick what happens. Right. So it's not going to allow you to effectively. So the idea was you to be able to trigger a ring while defending, was what the early interpretation was, and that has been clarified that is not the case.
Yeah, that to me that hurts that hurt it a little bit, but it's probably done for a reason in the design, so we don't, have weird shit going on down the road.
Well, and if you're kind of sad that this person doesn't have the right keywords, or if you don't think that it's that good since it's middle of the road, I think it might also be important to note. I don't know. This is more speculation than anything. But in old L5R, one of the big things was that characters would get experienced. So you would get new versions of characters. And I'd imagine they're going to keep doing that with this, right? Especially because the story keeps moving forward. This is not going to be the only Doji Hotaru that we see. Like 99%, most likely. There's no way that this is going to be the only one. Like, something's going to happen to her. Maybe she has to do more court stuff. Maybe she takes more training in that. Maybe she does more duelist stuff. Maybe she just gets a crazy good ability because of something happens, right? I would guess that she's going to get a new version, that she's going to do something slightly different. And I would guess the Clan Champs are going to be one of the first, if not the first, characters to start getting experienced versions.
Yeah,
and I think she's fine until then.
And hey, if you win Worlds, you can just design it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Just don't let her get stabbed before then. All right.
I mean, I guess she could always get knocked off, right?
Yeah. Stop hanging out with those Scorpion Clan.
Well, I mean, she's already spoilers. She's already killed one Clan champion.
Yeah.
There's no saying that can't happen to her. So.
It's true. All right. So we're gonna. So the feeling is, she's good.
Yeah.
She's good in Crane.
Yeah.
So she fits the bag. All right. So we're gonna keep rolling. Doji Whisperer. So Doji Whisperer is a courtier. Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead. 1 fate, 0 military, 3 political, 1 glory. Courtier. That's it. That's it. Just 3 political for 1 glory, and a courtier.
You know who that is right there on that card? That's plain Jane. She ain't gonna give you nothing. But she's not going to take nothing from you either. So for the cost of 1, you are putting her in your deck right now, because she's going to come out as a courtier and she's going to give you 3 political. Plain Jane, pretty solid.
Just gets it done.
It's a good cost, and she has a 0 in military, so she can still defend provinces.
Yep. Yeah, she doesn't get just knocked out.
Which is nothing to take lightly. Like, that is an important thing to know that you can do.
Right. Well,
and just to say, like, I think that where I was saying before that sometimes these cheap cards you're going to be seeing them cycle through as options come. I could see this one being a little more stickier, because for the 1 cost 3 political in Crane, having that courtier subtype on it. You kind of want one of those in play to be able to trigger some of these effects. And for the cost of 1 fate and that amazing 3 stat, why? What more do you want?
Right. I mean, it just comparing her to the neutral, right? The neutral's a 1-2 that has an effect where it can't attack at certain points. Like, it's just a straight up better card.
Yeah.
Which it should be, because it's, it's a clan card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, great.
Yeah.
So,
one thumb up. Good job there.
I think 2.
Oh,
like, well, these staple cards, like, can I
do the can I throw in the Mike method there?
I mean,
1.5.
It's your rules, right? This is your podcast.
All right. So let's keep moving along then. So next we have the Guest of Honor. So this is a 4 fate cost, 1 military, 4 political, 1 glory, courtier. While this character is participating in a conflict, opponents cannot play events.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Oh, did you think you were going to play? Sorry, I have an effect that's better than Acclaim Champions for slightly subpar stats for the cost.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is a little pricey, and you do need to commit her to have her participating for her effect triggers.
But she keeps you honest.
It's true. She does keep you honest and turn some tricks off. Even though there are some other cards in Faction that do give you some protection from certain like events and effects, but I guess it's another way to have a little bit more denial in the deck. And since Crane does like to play the denial game, it's just another card that can fall into that playstyle.
Right. I mean,
she's not bad. I'm not like over the moon about like, oh my god, this character's crazy and it's gonna change, because you can still play like items and things like that in the conflict. She just turns off events, so there can still be card play and stuff in the conflict, but I don't think she's bad.
I think she's really, really good. Like, yes, attachments, like I wouldn't say 2 thumbs, I would say like 1.5 to 1.75.
Yeah,
but
one in the stub.
One in the stub. Just your opponent not being able to do offense at all is so big. It's so much better than the attachment that just says, I cannot be targeted by events. It's literally, you can't pump your guys with events, you can't try to bring somebody out, you can't assassinate me. Like, you just cannot do anything. I think her value will only increase as time goes on. I could be wrong. They could bring out more attachments and the events may not matter as much, but I mean, I think the cost is pretty well costed. If she was 3, I think she'd be completely busted.
Good point there. I'm not too sure. Super powerful effect, but for me, the cost and the stats, I'm having a hard time pushing past.
It might be that also I've been playing so much single core that my ideas are a little bit too skewed to that. Because in single core, she's amazing. Because she just says, I stop 80% of the stuff that's in whatever you're going to try and play.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think right now she's like a 1 thumb for me. Like, I think she's okay. But I'm not like, oh my god, you've got to include her, you got to play her. But she's not bad.
I'd put her in as a 2 of.
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair call.
Yeah.
So I don't see that being wrong at all. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's your guest of honor.
AKA the Mike.
Yeah.
Guest of honor,
next, buddy. We go to another named character, Kakita Asame. So there's 3 fate, 1 military, 3 political, 2 glory. Courtier. Action. While this character is participating in a political conflict, if you count more current political skill in the conflict than your opponent, take 1 honor from that opponent.
Yes.
That's a really great ability.
Yep.
Again, taking honor and manipulating honor is really powerful. So to have an ability that just lets you do it in a faction that wants to be winning the political game is good. Cost is great. You're paying 3 for 3 political, and you still have a military stat and 2 glory and a courtier, plus a really cool ability.
Yep, I think she will probably end up being a swingy character, just like Daidoji Narishima was, right? In a more political focused deck, which you're probably going to get more once we get more packs. She probably replaces Narishima in a lot of cases, whereas she's probably the one to get replaced if they do more of like a scouty military type of deck, because then you're mostly not going to care about this effect. Yeah.
Your thoughts, Jameson? Think it's good? Mediocre?
Yeah, I think that right now in the game she's going to be a pretty much an auto include in your core builds. I'm not too sure about going forward. Like, I wouldn't rate this card perfect, but it as it stands right now, it's pretty damn near close. If you can drop honor on her, she's got great political stats. her ability triggers during a political conflict, where I mean, like, you should be able to pull it off. So he says, while the character is participating in a political conflict, if you count more political skill than your opponent. Normally when I would look at that, I would say to you, well, you know, if you can pull it off, okay. If you can't, you know, it's situational and blah, 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 blah. But you're playing it in the political faction, right? So, I mean, if you can't have more political skill while playing Crane, then something is going drastically downhill quickly, and probably you just scoop your cards up and say, you know, thanks for the game, or hey, we've got 30 minutes left. How about we try another one? Well,
and also, I mean, it has a check that you have to have higher skill, but it's just current political skill, which is great, right? There's a couple of different versions of this card that would be significantly worse. It could check to see if I'm the highest political. You could see if your characters have highest. It's literally just highest. So even the Imperial Favor adds to make sure that you can trigger this ability.
Yeah, so I think it's I think this is a given. I really like this card. The honor, is there's not really a dominating way, or I wouldn't say that, don't sit down at the table and say to yourself right away, I'm gonna dishonor my opponent out, because right now I don't really feel like you can do that from the beginning. You kind of have to see if that's how it's going. But once you get low on honor, it does take away choices that they have, and it does stop certain cards from being used and boosted and things like that. So, I mean, having this in your deck and having those options available to you is just more tools in your bat belt. This is great. Not perfect, but it's up there.
I think this is right where a core card needs to be.
Yeah.
Like, very good, very solid. Could easily switch into decks, but not so good that it'll never get replaced.
Great glory stat there, and it's a core tier.
Cool.
Good work.
All right, let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, man.
So next we've got Kakita Kazan.
Yep.
3 fate, 3 military, 2 political, 2 glory, Bushi duelist, Kinshinzen, something like that. Mm-hmm. Action. While this character is participating in a conflict, your opponent must choose a participating character he or she controls. Challenge that character to a military duel. If this character wins, move each character not involved in the duel home. If it loses, send it home. Neat. I like this card, as in, because I love the Crane Clan. I like this card more than it actually is probably a good card. And honestly, it's mainly one thing. It's the fact that your opponent gets to choose the person that you're dueling. It doesn't entirely kill this card, but it really curbs it. To me, that makes it go from a 3 of to a 1 of. Because unless they do something where you can really manipulate duels or have a reason to be in duels other than just being in duels, or unless you're just trying to be tricky to get some more honor from him, and then he comes... Because when he sends himself home, he doesn't bow himself. So he can defend and then have this trigger once you figure... you can go back and forth and figure out, well, I'm not winning this battle. Well, I'm going to duel your guy. I've got a 1. You're probably going to pick the guy... If you pick the guy I could actually win against, I can potentially now save the province. If you pick the guy you're probably going to pick, I'll just send myself home, probably get an honor or 2 from it, and then you can have that province, but, that's fine, you were going to have it anyways. And now he's ready to go do something else. But, honestly, that right now is so hard. You can do that about once a game, so I think he's a 1 of in a deck. I don't know that he gets more than that, because... you couldn't really have his political be higher. And Glory, too, is good, right? That puts him at a 5-4, which is quite good. His stats are pretty much where you'd want him to be for a 3. Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think if the clan gets more dueling, support and stuff for it, I think he can turn on a lot more. I mean, he's one of, maybe 2 or 3 dueling effects that's currently in the game.
Yeah.
And dueling is still one of those mechanisms that's going to take some play to find out whether it's how effective it is.
Well, and so the other thing too is I think traditionally this has been a character you would use on defense for the most part. Like that's how Crane are used to using their duelists. Really, this guy should probably be a bully duelist, and I just don't think there's a deck to support him right now. Like, I think you throw like a big +2 or +3 military on him, and then it doesn't matter who he's dueling, he's probably sending the rest of your army home. You know, or maybe tying in. It kind of bugs me a little bit.
If you lose, you just go home.
Right.
And you know, that's the kind of the cool part right there, right? Like, maybe he can be used to reevaluate a situation where you're like, oh, you know what? I didn't expect this guy to go all in right now on this defense. How about I just lose this and then sneak him home? You know, like sneak. You know, sneak. Because you can sneak. Like if you lose, one of your guys has to like go back, right? Like, so I mean, and then you know, hopefully you have another attack left and he's all in, and maybe you can do some sneaky stuff. But I like him. He's not perfect. But he's
not
good.
bad.
No, he's not bad.
I think it just frustrates me because he's too easy to play around, right? Because if you tie, nothing happens because your opponent gets to choose it, even if you're using this on offense, right? Like, say they say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to save this. I'm going to pick my guy that's never going to be able to win, even if we both pick ones. And I'm going to send my big guy home because he doesn't send them home out. He just sends them home. So, he's pretty easy. Or I pick my guy, okay, I lose, but I send home my chud that's not actually mattering in this battle right now. You know, like, it's just, I don't entirely understand why your opponent gets to choose and there's no benefit for you for him choosing. Yeah. Like, the winning, anyways. Because you don't get a big, massive army like you do. I mean, this is, right, the best case scenario is defending it against a swarm. Defending against a bunch of lying guys. But they probably get somebody boosted high enough that they're willing to bid high to make sure that they win. Because if it's going to lose them the battle, they're like, well, here, you can have 4 honor. Sure. I will take your province.
Cool. All right. So yeah, I think he's okay. Leaning towards on the better side. Like, I'd probably give him like 1 1/4 thumb. So 1. And then it'd be thumb.
No 1 and 1 there.
It's just, I think he's just a 1.
Yeah.
I want him to be higher than that.
I don't know. It's his potential is not fully tapped yet for me.
Yeah.
All right, Corey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next we've got Savvy Politician. So she is a 2-cost to fate, 1 military, 2 political, 1 glory, courtier, reaction. After this character is honored, choose a character, honor that character. Cool.
Yep.
Seems great. You get a courtier, you're getting 2 political, you also get a military, but you get a way to trigger an honor and then honor someone else. Seems like value.
Yeah, pretty solid. I mean,
yeah. Seems like in a deck that's trying to honor their characters, you get a character that kind of escalates that process.
Courtier trait.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It all seems like good stuff. All right. So I'm a fan of that. I think that one easily gets a thumbs up for me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think it's one of those ones it's maybe even a little bit stickier than you first expect, possibly, just because if they have any more effects like Voice of Honor where you want more honored personalities, or you can just honor her and then honor somebody you care about and then sack her to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Noble sacrifice. I will eventually remember the name of that card.
Yeah. It's not like you haven't played it. All right. So now we're going to get into the conflict characters.
Oh, here we go.
Then we'll get the handful of conflict cards. So we're in the home stretch. So the first one is Steward of Law. He's just a 1-cost, 1 military, 1 political, 0 glory, courtier scholar. But while this character is participating in a conflict, characters cannot become dishonored. Interesting.
I don't think he's that good.
No, it's so wishy-washy.
Yeah, you're not getting any glory out of it.
He just doesn't have any stats.
Right, you're paying 1 for 1/1, so you're effectively paying 1 for 1 point swing, I guess. He is a courtier, so he does turn on some card abilities that you can drop in.
But at the same point, if he said your characters cannot become dishonored, I would say, okay, yeah, he's probably worth it. When it's no characters can become dishonored in this conflict, like there are sometimes I want to dishonor people, and that makes dropping him in that much harder to time.
But what if you're playing? I guess his matchup is like Scorpion, right? Who wants to try to dishonor their own guys to trigger effects. Then he just shows up and he's like, no, you don't get to do that.
They don't have that many where they dishonor themselves for it, right? It's like steal an attachment or stop your event.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're playing this guy, you don't have to worry about either of those things anyways.
It's true, until you then put an attachment on it.
That's true.
And then you're like, cool, I can't believe I just did that.
Or I could just make sure that I have my O2 fan or katana in and play it for free.
Yeah. So yeah, he's kind of meh. I think that's a card that's going to get replaced pretty quickly. I don't think he's like a necessary card. I don't think he's awful, but I think that if there's not already better options, there will be better options coming soon.
His art is great.
Yeah.
I have the same things to say. There's times when you want to dishonor something and it's stopping yourself there. So that's kind of blasé. I'm a little bit confused on what it actually means to be dishonored. I was wondering if the wording could be changed somehow to if there is a drop in honor. Like if you have an honored guy and he goes neutral, like is that fine? This guy will let you go that? Like you just can't be tagged as officially dishonored?
Yeah, that's how I would interpret it, because it doesn't say you cannot dishonor. It just says cannot become dishonored. But you're right. That doesn't explain if that's the adjective or the verb. Like, are you doing the action of dishonoring, or is it stopping you just from reaching the state of dishonored? My guess is that it just stops anybody from reaching the state of dishonored.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine it would just be say cannot dishonor if they were talking about you cannot change states at all.
I wonder if there's like a clarification and stuff on it, but that sounds right. But
that definitely seems like they need to clarify intent.
Yeah, I'm sure someone will pop in, and I think also probably in the reference, there's probably a clarification on dishonor.
Thankfully, he's just not a good enough card to really care about it for the most part.
Right. So while we're researching that, I'm going to go ahead and jump on over to the other.
I'm not researching anything.
Card.
I'm just typing to the chat. So I mean, you're waiting a long time if you're waiting for me to make the call. I would agree with the way that Mike interpreted it, like in the word.
Cool.
It doesn't say you can't be like. Now I forget totally how you said it, but you said it.
Yeah, you just can't go to the state of dishonored, but you could still lose honor.
Yes.
All right. So next we have Political Rival. This is a 3-cost conflict character. Dash for military. 3 political. 0 glory. Courtier. Covert. Super good ability. So whenever this character attacks, you choose a character without covert, and that character cannot be declared as a defender. And this character gets +3 political while defending. So it's potentially a 6 political defender. Pretty neat. It's a little expensive because 3 fate is a lot, but covert is an amazingly good ability right now in the game. Or being able just to pull 6 political defense out of thin air is nothing to sneeze at.
I think, well, so covert is a lot like stealth in Thrones, and
yeah.
for both of them, the more characters that have the keyword, the worse the keyword gets, right? Because they don't let you work on each other, right? If you have covert, I can't convert you. Like, none of the champions even have covert. I think this character is amazing.
Yeah. Until they find a tattooed friend to piggyback ride.
Well, true. Yeah. True. But for the most part, like, this character will just win you a game. Like, you just drop it on the last round, and you're not even losing stats for it because you're probably going to do a political challenge on their stronghold anyways. Oh, your clan champion can't come to this fight. Or you're one guy that actually has a stat that's worth anything in this can't come to this fight.
Not going to lie, this character won me a game in the Gen Con tournament because I was playing Crab, and I had this splashed in, and no one expected me to pull out, one, a political swing of 3, but also the covert took out the one defender that they had to stall me, and I was able to move in and take the province. It was pretty sweet.
I also think he really highlights one of the things about the game right now, and I'm kind of glad it's not too prolific, in that being able to play characters out of your hand. So if you're in the Dynasty phase and you play, like, say, a 3-cost character with 1 fade on them, right? And then they play, like, maybe a 1-cost or a 2-cost character, or, play whatever they're going to play. And then you just pass. And now you've passed with, like, 4 or 5 feet, or, like, 3, 4, 5 fade, something like that. Like, they have to think something is up, right? But they don't really know what's up. I mean, right now they probably have more of a clue as to what's going on. But, are you just biding your time, or...
Are you playing with cab reserves?
Right.
Why are you playing with cab reserves?
So I think not only is he strong, he's really strong as, like, a surprise effect. Or forcing to play around you possibly having them.
Yeah. I'm a fan. I really like that card. I think it's really strong. It is expensive. I know that can be its knock against it, but it is impactful when you are able to play it and it hits the table.
I think you just play 2 of it because you only really need to see 1 in a game, but the one you see very well likely will either give you a province or the game.
Yeah.
I think it really stacks on defense too, getting that extra 3. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, again, paying 3 for 6 political defense.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Pretty good investment.
It's a good check there. This person can go in solo if needed.
Yeah.
Hold
all right.
A province.
So that should be all of the characters. So now what we're going to do is just going to mop up the last bit of the conflict cards, and then we'll be done, gentlemen.
Oh, my.
So we're going to hit these kind of quick.
Yep.
So we can kind of get through this home stretch. So here we go. We're going to start with above question. So this is an attachment. It is 1 cost, 0/0. Condition. Attached character cannot be chosen as a target of an opponent's event.
I don't even run it.
It's kind of expensive though, isn't it? Like for what this doing. Like I feel like we'd have a different discussion if it wasn't costed.
I like this card a lot.
Yes.
But I think this card will probably get better as some more stuff opens up and some of like the status and target effects become stronger.
You're saying so your rating is going to be based on future potential.
Correct. But I also, I don't think it's bad now. I think if you consider that Cloud the Mind's a thing, you have the poison effects in Scorpion. Then what's the other one? Pacifism. There are some cards that can be problems, and this is a way for you to kind of get around it. And it's an attachment.
But
if you splash this in decks that trigger off attachment abilities, it's not a bad one to help buff and add in.
But this doesn't stop Cloud the Mind, right? Because Cloud the Mind's an attachment.
True. It is an attachment. You're right. Shit.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
like so really, you're looking at things like So
I think the best case scenario is your opponent can't route you. Like that seems to be the absolute best or you slap this on a 1 or 2 cost character and they can't get assassinated.
Yeah, like I think that's actually not a bad thing to consider though, because there are characters who get impacted because they are in assassination range.
Yes, but
it's also matter.
You could also just play the event negation, and then they have to play it and pay the 3 honor, and then you also stop it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a little bit harder to set up.
I think right now it definitely probably has a hard time finding slots, but as more stuff could come in the game, more targeted effects, it could get better. It could be like a meta call.
Actually, I guess the other best effect of it is the what's the political one where they either have to dishonor or bow one of their characters?
Court games?
I think it's court.
Shame.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
no,
I think it's
court games.
Court games. This stops court games, which is pretty good. But if it was cost 0, this would be great. At cost 1 with no stats, it just feels real bad.
They're just above it, man.
Shame is dishonor.
It's above it. Yeah. All right, so it's kind of meh. I'd still kind of lean towards the favoritism side, but I'm kind of, again, I'm in the future potential bucket. I think this card could get better, but I don't think it's something that you should immediately jump to and include in the deck.
One thing.
Yeah. All right, but one that I do think is really awesome is this next one, Admit Defeat. Admit Defeat is one fate. Action: choose a character that is defending alone. Bow that character. As mentioned earlier, bow effects are really strong. Bow effects when your opponent thinks they have one really beefy character and they're going to hold their province, and then all of a sudden you're just like, nope, and he bows, and now he's not contributing. It's a swing. It's a really big swing. This is a great card. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
To me, I would play 3 of this.
I think it, just personally, I think it's a 2 of, because it can be played around. Although if they're playing around it that's actually possibly to your benefit anyways.
Yeah.
And just because it also does have the 1 cost, which it's very well costed for its ability, but like it's not impossible to shut off. And there are times, like if you're doing that last push into their stronghold, even if they've bowed out the rest of their guys, admitted defeat doesn't do anything. So yeah. I think it does have potentially a bad case, but I still think at least 2 of minimum.
Yeah, it's a really great card. I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I mean, I had it in my splash.
I really don't know. I just think it's. I think it's middle of the road, and because it's. Obviously, I think there's going to be times when you are going to be able to use it, but and those are going to be great, but again, it's could be dead in hand for a bit.
It's got really high highs and really low lows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that's not quite like, oh, well, that means it's a middle card. I think it means it's a little bit less than a middle, but the high case is so high, it kind of, yeah.
Yeah, like I just don't know if it's the card that I wanted. Like, what's that thing saying from Batman?
It's... No, we're not doing that here.
something deserved, but it's the card I got. I don't know.
Yeah.
So. Well, and as there's more straighten in the game, it just gets worse.
Yeah.
True, but hopefully there won't be a lot of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in order for a lot of those abilities to be impactful, I think you need to minimize the amount of it.
Yeah.
This is not the card I need, but it's the card I deserve. Is that how
you do want some counter? Yeah. Yes. You do want some counterplay. I think. I think you want like a generic counterplay. Anyways.
So next we're going to go on to Duelist Training. This is a 1 cost 0/0. Technique. Attach character gains action. While this character is participating in a conflict, choose a participating character controlled by your opponent. Challenge that character to a military duel. Instead of giving honor for this duel's bid, a player may choose and discard the required number of cards from hand. Bow the loser of the duel.
Huh.
It's not worth running this card to try and explain to your opponent what it does.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm reading it for like again the 4th time over here, but I mean maybe it's a better splash.
So what I can say on this is it is another way to bow cards. It gives you a duel that you can enable and bow, and it gives you a duel that you don't have to necessarily exchange honor if you have a pretty good card advantage.
And you get to choose.
Correct.
Which is huge, which is, I think, the thing that really bumps Narishma down.
That's true.
Yeah. So, but that's it. It's if you're trying to play, I think it can fall a little bit more in the control-y style of playing with a lot of bow effects and keeping your opponent's guys bowed. Because bowing their guys has actually a lot of interesting abilities, right? Because they're not contributing to the conflict, and they don't get to do effects and things that'll keep them unbowed, so they're not contributing to the favor at the end of the phase. So it's eating through their resources and helps you play in that control game.
Yep.
And if they do more stuff with duels, this is a way for you to give a duel to another personality.
Well, sorry, I meant Case in that Narishma.
Yeah.
I think this actually does have a pretty good home in a military potential attack deck, because you get to choose. They have to do. I really wish dual ties did something, even if it was like both effects happen. Mm-hmm. The fact that this can be like, I think a lot of times, right, you're going to have a 3 military guy going against a 3 military guy. Like, I think that's probably going to happen quite often, and the fact that tying means nothing happens, it makes it kind of frustrating to try and duel. Because it sounds like it's like, oh, well, you've got like a 1 in 5 chance that you're both going to pick the same number. But really, nobody's going to pick that high unless they just need the battle to happen. In which case, if they do and you're tied, even if you pick high, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not the problem with this card. That's the problem with dueling in general.
Yeah. All right, rip it.
All right, so next we've got Height of Fashion.
Oh my god.
Height of Fashion. Yeah, Height of Fashion is 2 fate for +4 political, but this attachment cannot be played during a conflict.
Again, this goes back to what I'm saying about Crane. Like, I can't rate this card high because I like the surprise effects of playing it in the conflict. Like, boom, boom, boom. Like, I don't want to set my guy up before and then put him in. I mean, I feel so weak. Why does it have to be outside of conflicts? Why?
But what if that guy was above question? He had the Height of Fashion. All right, then he wouldn't be so worried, right? Right?
No, can't step me.
I'll just let it go.
No.
Like, strategically, I get 100% what you're saying. And even the 2 for 4 is not a super great rate, considering that there's a 0 for 2.
Yeah.
But at the same point, just in my Crane heart, this is a great card. Because the idea that I come in and take your province with a sassy outfit is just, it's too good. It's too good.
So yeah, if you just want some raw stats to just try to muscle through those political challenges.
Stats and theme.
That's right. You just want to catwalk your way on down to your opponent's province.
Like, if they ever give you an honor duel, okay, good luck winning against me.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad card. I think it's good. It's not like, oh my god, you have to have it, but I think it's good.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to go through Noble Sacrifice. So Noble Sacrifice is 1 fate. Is an action. Sacrifice a friendly honored character. Choose a dishonored character. Discard that character. I guess this goes back to, you can have moments where it's a dead card, but man, when you can play this card, it is awesome.
I feel like I've been playing so much single core, my rating on this card is so off from what it used to be. Because single core, it's so hard to set this card up to actually work. When it does, it'll win you a game. But it's so hard to set this card up. But in triple core, oh my god, this thing it does so much work.
Yeah, it's great because you're honoring people left and right.
Right, well, this is the combo payoff, right? Like, this is your payoff card, and it's a good payoff. But in single core, it's just, in any kind of limited type environment, it's so much harder to set up that combo. It makes it not as good. But really, I should probably stop talking about single core because I will probably get past that once everybody can actually get their board sets.
But I think you can still say that this is a card that's going to have more future potential than it does now, as there are more and more ways, right? Like compare going from single core to triple core, the value of this changes. as more and more cards that come out that work on the honor system and the dishonoring characters, this is only going to get more and more powerful. And I mean, this is your way of killing a character, getting it out of play, while having it in faction, while not having to assassinate and lose the the honor. This is, maybe the character's already done what it's needed to do, and it's bowed out, and you just, okay, and now I'm just going to, get rid of him. He's got no fate on him. He's going to leave play anyway. Boom, boom, boom. Goodbye, right? Like,
man, you're playing that crab style. I like it.
Like, I think the worst case on this, especially once you get like Furry Core, and once you start actually being able to really build and trim stuff, even the worst case scenario on this is still real good. Like, the worst case is against maybe like more of a swarmy type of deck, because they're probably not going to have a whole lot of guys that are hanging around for very long. It's probably going to be a lot harder to get them sacked to this. But like, if they just put out their clan champion and you get a clan champion with this card, like, congratulations. Like, it's so good. Even if you get like a mid-cost character with this, it's so good. Yes. It's good in a military deck. It's good in, like, if you do more of a defensive switchy type of deck. It's just good regardless.
I mean, it is a card that your opponent has to play around. Like, they do have to consider this. If you're playing against green, Noble Sacrifice needs to be something you need to pay attention to and be aware that could hit you.
Yeah, they're going to have to fight for fire.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is I just feel that sometimes it could be hard to really get the conditions lined up. To when you really want to kill somebody, you just want them gone, right? Like, you don't want to be like, oh my god, like, I just drew my Noble Sacrifice. Okay, if I do this and this, and okay, maybe if he doesn't do this, and I can remove that guy in 2 turns. But I mean, crap, he's only got 1 fate on him anyway, so he's going to be gone in 2 turns anyway. So why waste this card on this? Maybe there's another play I can have here, or if I just wait a turn. And you're just like calculating it out and hoping for something to come through. But I mean, I guess it needs to be that way because of how powerful it is.
Correct. You want to be careful on how you do targeted removal, because I mean, look at how, I think Assassinate's balanced really well. It's limited to the cost of the character you can remove, and it's a high cost and honor to take it and play that card. And so they do want to add some difficulty to the targeted removal, because you don't want it to be too easy, because then you're going to get super pissed when you keep paying fate into your big characters and that crane player just keeps killing them left and right. You're going to be like, why am I wasting this stuff?
But the fact that this can be done outside of conflict, really, like, if this had to be in conflict, it would genuinely be a much worse card. The fact that this can be done at any point in time, the fact that you could, if something gave you an effect that somebody came in to play Dishonored and then you just played this during Dynasty phase or whatever, like, that's not going to happen right now, but holy crap.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, it's a good card. Good card.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's a good card.
It's a good card.
Let's play it. All right. Three cards left. Here we go. Perfect Gift. 0 cost. Reveal the top 4 cards of each player's conflict deck. Choose 1 revealed card owned by each player and add it to its owner's hand. Shuffle.
Yes.
Okay.
What? Medium?
Shudder.
Yes. So here's the thing. Yes, it is straight up card advantage for your opponent, right? You're literally giving them a card, and that is actually the opposite of what you're frequently trying to do with the honor plan, dishonor plan.
No.
But what I would say is that the Crane are going to be, or at least one of their decks is going to be more of a combo-y deck, right? And this Perfect Gift is exactly what you want with a combo deck. Because if I could get my combo, it really doesn't matter what you have in your hand.
Yeah,
right?
Checking out 4 cards and finding the one you want is pretty strong. Also, looking at the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck and being able to, potentially shuffle those ones that you don't want him to have away. But again, I just don't like the, hey, this this is the card I have. Now look at these other 3 cards that I have in my deck.
You just can't do that play style. It's just not you.
No.
No, I get it, and I think even in like a military deck, I don't even know if you would run this necessarily. But I think this you could also just call this the perfect timing, because if you get the timing right on this card, it will win you games frequently.
Mm-hmm. It's cool, and I guess the other option thing you can play about too is because of the denial effects that Crane can have.
Yep.
You could give them a card just to bait them, and then just cancel it anyway, or just know that you've got counters for it, so you can kind of play around it. So, yeah, but I do agree 100% with. I do agree with Mike 100%. If you're trying to build combos, it's one of the quickest ways to kind of pound through your conflict deck.
What?
Try to seek out those pieces you need.
Corey, how can you go against me like that?
Sorry, man. I played Perfect Gift as my splash. I said I played crap with Crane Splash, and I did not hate Perfect Gift every single time I played it. I was like, cool, I'll take this.
Well, because
Perfect Gift, celebrity gift. Jeez.
The main reason that this is also like if there were a lot more zero cost actions that were impactful, Perfect Gift would be a lot worse, because zeros that are going to be impactful in the conflict that you're currently in, out of 4 cards, not all 4 of them are going to be that. So just giving them something that costs something means they probably can't play it if they have no fate, or they definitely can't play it if they have no fate. So. True. You can mitigate the worst part of this card, especially if it's the turn you need it.
Yeah. All right. So I don't think it's a bad card. I think it's. I don't say you would play with the full complement of them, but I don't think it's a bad card to play with. I mean, you could play 3 because you're just trying to burn through and build stuff. So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I like it. But
I like perfecting gift into another perfect gift so I can give my opponent as many cards as they want that I know all about.
Yeah.
And then you just hope they hit your Night Raid. And you're like, I baited you. I baited you into the Night Raid.
You baited.
Yeah. All right. So the next.
I'm going to save. I'm going to save my thumbs. I only have 4 left, and I'm going to save them for the next 2 cards.
Okay. We have. Speaking of zero cost cards that could be impactful. We have Voice of Honor. Interrupt. When the effect of an event would initiate, if you control more honored characters than an opponent, cancel those effects. Counterspell. Counterspells are good. These are blue. The Crane's blue. So it all makes sense.
Zero cost counters are even better.
Yeah. Making your opponent pay for something and then telling them they don't get to do that, but they can still pay for it. That's great for you. Not so much for your opponent.
And just having to have more honored characters be the only threshold.
3 in your deck. 3 in your deck. This card dominates. This card has saved my bacon so many times. When the swing is coming, when you see your opponent, I'm not, pass, wait for you to do your action, you set it up, comes back to them, they reach for their honor. Or their fate, they pay it, they go to put down some big game swinging card, and you're just like, no, for 0. Had it, was holding it, sorry. Amazing card, perfect score. This card is not going anywhere anytime soon.
It plays right into the control aspect of Crane.
Get used to
right there.
Love that. Become one with that art, because that art is not going anywhere. You were going to play against Crane and hate seeing this guy in his little jammies there, because dude, you are gonna this card is gonna wreck. This card can wreck and frustrate, but it can save and it can love.
I'm going to need the full art promos ASAP.
Yes.
He needs to get on it.
It's sticking around, man.
This is easy though.
It doesn't even have to spot somebody. Like, it doesn't even have to spot a courtier. It's just I have more honored characters.
Yep. Yeah. Even today, this stopped a turning point in 2 different games because I had it at that moment, and bless the 3 core.
Yeah. Yeah, so absolutely 3 fantastic card. That was easy. And I guess we're down to our last card, guys.
One of the best for this set of cards here in the game box.
Yep. We are at the Way of the Crane. 0 cost, philosophy, action. Choose a Crane character you control. Honor that character. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what have you been listening to this cast? You want to honor characters in Crane.
Yeah.
You want to honor characters that trigger really cool cards like Voice of Honor, Noble Sacrifice, and you just get a card that just boom weighs and this honors someone. And again, that's a swing. I mean, if you think about doing this in a conflict, you have a lot of 2 glory and some. I mean, mostly 2 glory. That seems to be the average spread across amongst most Crane, and that's a good 2 swing. Plus, you get an honor character on the board. So it can gain you honor when they go away or help you trigger other card effects. Fantastic card.
Card is perfect. You have to have 3 of in your deck here. This plays. This is your thing that's gonna set all these other combos that we've just talked about in cards. This is gonna make your deck sing on honoring these people up.
Which if you're playing Crane, you want to be really good at singing.
Yes. there will be multiple competitions.
Look at I mean, you look at what Way of the Crane, like they're actually telling you Way of the Crane. So the honor mechanic in Crane is very, very important because that's just what Cranes do. So don't hate it, embrace it, and and there's nothing else. Like I can keep going on and telling you how perfect this card is. 10 out of 10. 2 thumbs up. This card here is gonna win games. It's gonna change. It's gonna change tempo swings or change the flow of the game and make people frustrated that have to play against it. It's really, really, really good.
Yeah, it's great. So that concludes our coverage and our overview of the cards in the core set. I guess the last thing I want to throw in before we all get out of here, because this episode's ran pretty long. So thank you for sticking through it, those of you who've been listening and hanging in there. The last thing, Mike, on or even Jameson, because you guys have both been playing a lot of games as Crane Clan, what would you say feels like a good matchup clan to play against, and what feels like a tough clan to play against as the Crane?
To play against,
I don't know. I think the Crane are really good in that they don't necessarily have a worst matchup. I would think that maybe their hardest 2 matchups are probably Crab and Unicorn.
Oh, okay.
Phoenix can be tough. But like Crab and Unicorn, the Unicorn's ability just to switch it back into a military, like Captive Audience just wrecks Crane a lot of times. Like
if you can't Voice of Honor it.
Right, if you can't Voice of Honor it, like it's real rough. And they do that into or they do their first military, then they say, oh hey, I'm going to do my second military. Oh, by the way, you had to discard a guy because my clan champion's here. Okay, now, no, actually, this is really a military. Okay, here comes a whole bunch of stampeding ponies right over your face.
Yeah.
Not so pretty anymore. The Crab just can kind of stop stuff quite a bit, just kind of the same way that you can. They're really resilient, which has been kind of the classic Crab Crane type deal.
Yeah.
Phoenix, you're right. Phoenix can get pretty hard. A lot of their abilities actually do hit you. And them being able to stop you from playing, being able to use the air ring or use the fire ring or use even the earth ring, like, it's tricky for any clan, but especially, Crane tend to be more combo-y, so they make it harder for you to set it up. They have higher political skill. At the same point, those are just like if everybody is like a 7, or if everybody is like a 6 difficulty or a 7 difficulty, I would say everybody like on a 10 range, like everybody's kind of in that 6-7 to me. Unicorn might be an 8 just because they really can stick it to you sometimes. But I don't think you have a great matchup against anybody. I don't think you have a terrible matchup against anybody. Has been my experience.
Interesting.
In your deck building, then, like, let's just say that the last piece here is where do you feel they ally best with for using the influence system?
Honestly, I think there's definitely a bunch of really good valid ways to go, but I think Scorpion is the best overall in my play testing, in my opinion, and how the way I like the flavor of it. We just ended up being a little bit more dastardly than you thought we were. But things like Adept of Shadows is just such an amazing card. Like, Adept of Shadows won me so many games when we were doing that tournament at Gen Con. You drop her down, you throw you throw her down, swing in, throw a katana on her. They attack you. Okay, lose an honor, pick her up, play her again, throw a fan on her. Okay, she took another province. Like, I literally did that 2 to 3 times in the tournament.
Yeah.
Unassuming Yojimbo having another covert character that this time actually has military, but still has political as well, is just amazing. I Can Swim. I don't think you can run too many of these, but I Can Swim is it's another way of controlling characters that's just kind of out of nowhere. Because you're especially towards the end, like as you're getting towards that stronghold battle, the stronghold battle. Like, it's a great last card because you're like, okay, finally, I'm going to take a whole bunch of cards to make sure I can get this. You go low because you can't really afford to. Now I can swim your champion that's here that I've managed to dishonor. And Forged Edict is another piece of denial. And I think those cards really help accent and strengthen what the Crane already have. So I think it's the best splash. But, I mean, there's so many, I think Crab is very good. I think even Lion can work pretty well. I think there's some Unicorn stuff that's pretty good. Dragon, just for Let Go, is probably...
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going Dragon as the first test that they drop because of that card, right? So...
Yeah.
It's good. It's impactful.
Yeah, it's impactful. I don't think it has as high an upside as the Scorpion do. But also, I feel like the Scorpion might be a little bit higher play skill cap, maybe. Like, you have to time things right. And there are other things that you could throw in there, too, because you could throw in, calling in favors. And just grabbing an attachment in the middle of a battle can absolutely win you games.
Yeah.
And you don't even necessarily have to, because you have Way of the Crane, you don't even have to really pay a cost for it. Like, it can just be, okay, well, now I'm going to Way of the Crane my guy that just dishonored. Oh, look, they're back to regular, and I'm winning this battle again.
Nice. Cool. Just trying to get some good ideas for people who are thinking about what the splash and conflict. But I guess it seems like the good thing is there's a lot of different options and directions you can go with Crane, just kind of based on your play style. And I think a lot of it, too, how controlly do you want to play the clan will kind of give you an idea of which factions you want to lean towards. Cool. Well, I think that's it. Some of us are still in there. We got there. Yeah. We burned through all the Crane cards.
We flopped across the finish line. Bah.
Yeah,
right.
we made it. So big shout out and thanks to anyone who stuck it through the whole thing. If you listen to this later as a recording, let us know how many sittings you get through. So we may start splitting these now we get an idea of how a long recording one start to finish takes, but we wanted to power through one just to do and get an idea.
Thanks out to Mike for taking the time. Really appreciate your expertise and just your camaraderie here as we go through this journey of Crane.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
No problems, man. Corey, always a pleasure. L5R Thursdays for everybody that are tuning in there. Thanks to those people who stuck around. Thanks for the people listening. Hey, check out that little sponsor button underneath. Help us out. Guys, thank you very much for everything that you guys have done and hanging out and blah, 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 blah. We'll catch you next time where we tackle...
We don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
Only pick one. Maybe you guys can vote on what you want to hear next. Drop some comments or just post on our Facebook page on what clan you'd like us to cover next, and then we'll consider it when we build up our listing. And also, please, we appreciate feedback. I love reading comments on the videos. So if there's something you would like us to focus a little bit more on our next review, or some other things you want us to consider talking about, let us know. I'll be glad to take it and see what we can flip out for more episodes for you.
Most definitely. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. Really appreciate it. We will catch you next time. Maybe with a wild Hollis.
Maybe. Who knows? All right. Good night, guys.
Out for now. Have a good evening.